Hi, I'm Cheryl Brunette, and last time I introduced you to a perfectly lovely beginning to a piece of knitting, the tubular cast-on. And today I'm going to introduce you to a perfectly lovely ending to that same piece of knitting, the tubular bind off. The tubular bind off, like the tubular cast on, can be done a number of different ways. And it also goes by other names. It can be called the invisible bind off, the Italian bind off, the Kitchener bind off. There might even be other names for it. So today I'm just showing you one method, of course, but I encourage you to do more research if you're curious. The first thing we're going to do is make a little bit of a tube. Remember, we had a tube down here by knitting 4 rows and folding them in half. We're going to make our tube up here by doing a complete row of double knitting. Now, double knitting is where you separate, you make a tube essentially, but in one piece. I'm not going to go into too many details about this. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. Someday we'll get to that. And you go down a needle size. This is, these are 10.5s that I have been using. And I'm going to come down to it about a 10. These are approximate. These are old needles that my grandpa made. And so they're made from dowels, and they're not quite what we would call standard. Now, in order to do this 2 rows, or essentially 1 round, what you do is knit the knits as they present to you, and then bring the yarn around to front, slip the purl, take the yarn back, knit, slip, knit. I'm slipping just the purls, and I'm slipping it with the yarn to the front of my fabric as it, whoops, I almost purled that. You see, have to pay attention here. Slip, knit, slip, knit. Now, this is where I sometimes get into trouble. Make sure you get rid of your larger needle and pick up your second smaller needle at this point. Now we're presented with a purl. So I'm just going to slip that with the yarn in front and knit. And we end with a purl. Again, we're just going to slip that stitch, but the yarn is on the same side as you would have it on if you were actually purling it. And turn your work. Now we're going to go after this with a tapestry needle. So you need to cut your yarn and make it about, at least 4 times as long as this piece that you're working back and forth, as in 1, 2, 3, 4. And choose an appropriate size needle. Let's see. I generally prefer working with shorter needles, but in this case, I'm going to work with this larger one so you can see. Let me thread it up. Now, this is where it's a little bit like a Kitchener stitch. And this particular way to do it is the one that makes the most sense to me. It's the one that I seem to be able to remember the most quickly. And don't worry about memorizing this. Every time I use this, I have to look it up because I don't use this skill that often. So don't worry if you have to do that too. But I want to make sure that when you do look it up by consulting this video, that you have some familiarity with it. The first stitch that faces you is a knit, and you are to enter it from right to left, or slip as if to purl, and just drop it off. If that second stitch were a knit, if this were a purl and that second stitch were a knit, you would just drop that one off. Now, the purl is where you start to think. You're going to do 4 movements, and of the 4, only one time are you going to go into a stitch from the left side. You're going to go the other 3 times from the right. This is when you first meet this purl, you go in from the left. Then here's that knit you dropped off. Do you see it? Go back into the center of that and catch the next knit. The purl is back there. And pull your yarn. Oops, don't let it get caught on the needle. Go back from right to left. This is the last time, so you've gone 1, 2, 3, this is the 4th. Snug it up and drop both of those stitches, both the purl and the knit, off the needle. And getting your tension here to match what's beneath it is probably one of the biggest challenges. So this is where we start. We're facing a purl. We insert from the left to the right as if to knit and snug that up. Then here's that knit you just dropped off. You're going to go from right to left, but you're going right into the center of it and go from right to left into that next knit. Pull your yarn, snug it up, then come back into the purl that you've already gone through, and again go from right to left. We also call that as entering as if to purl. Drop the 2 of them off together. Okay, you can see that we're starting to form our little overstitch, as it were. Okay, facing the purl. Insert as if to knit from left to right. Pull it snug. Go back into the center of this knit and right into the knit that follows. Again, snug them up. Come back into this purl. Enter from right to left and drop these 2 off and snug them up. There we go. Can you see what's forming here? Can you see how that looks like the cast-on edge? I told you they were twins. Here's my last purl. I insert as if to knit. Go back into the center of this knit that's right here. Gracefully pick up that next knit. Oops. Tighten it up. That wasn't so graceful. Tighten it up. And one more time through that purl. Snug it up, drop it off. And I like to just go through this last knit as we've been doing one more time. This is what we have. A series of stitches that look like they go up and over the edge of your knitting all the way around. And here we come to our cast on edge, and look at this. Also, they go up and over your knitting. Here are our 2 rows. This kind of divides right in the center, whereas this one straddles that. But, well, even identical twins have a tiny bit of difference between them. I also did this in a different color yarn, and maybe you can once again look at it and see we're coming up that row of knits, and there is another knit stitch that picks up those knit stitches right there. Now you have a pair of skills that will allow you to begin and end a sweater or sweater pieces that begin and end with 1 by 1 rib that are identical, so that if you start knitting from the top down or if you knit from the bottom up, they will all look alike. And this is a great edge for sweaters, for the cuffs, for the bottoms, for the neckline. So until I see you again, be brave. Try these things out. Make little swatches of them. You don't have to use it on a big sweater. You don't have to use it at the bottom of a sweater, which has a lot of stitches. Make a smaller commitment. Practice. That's how you learn your craft. Anyway, till I see you again, enjoy your knitting. The tubular bind off, which is the person, no, it's not a person. It's the skill we're going to meet next time, but just, okay, let's start again.